Okay, so I had a conversation earlier today with a colleague of mine, and we were talking about a client who has, I'm not going to get into too many particulars, but essentially an issue with the local government where some of the standing regulations and really the interpretations of those regulations are stopping the client from growing his business. So essentially, we were talking about ways to remove those limitations and possibly change the regulations, and doing that through lawsuits, and then obviously, letters to some of like the city officials where he is, and etc. But I think the larger context of what we were talking about, and that's really why I made this video or whatever you want to call this post, is that certain innovations will need an amount of legal precedent before those innovations are allowed to have space in the market. And so I think that this really adds an extra layer of difficulty for entrepreneurs and and even investors or people that are interested in startups, or really just putting an innovation into the market. It's not just about creating the product, creating the IP, and then making sure that it's protected, and then putting it out there where you're getting licenses from partners who actually can then manufacture it, etc. There's then this extra layer of extra barrier, shall we say, that really would take not necessarily a legal expert, but you definitely will need some type of counsel to show you a pathway of how to create a space in the market where regulation is somehow prohibiting that. In this case, again, it's more so what the law says and the interpretation by the city officials about how that law should be applied. So it's about changing that interpretation, and then also maybe eventually, challenging the law. And lastly, it's a part of challenging the law and part of creating that space is that you would need some type of counsel, some type of leader in that way, to be more of a maverick than just a counsel who's willing to cross the T's and dot the I's. You would need someone who's not necessarily a social reformer, but someone who's willing to interpret the law and then make great arguments to city officials, to judges, to those who control city ordinances, etc. So it's just something that I would like people to think about, because I don't want any innovators or entrepreneurs, people that are interested in startups or investments, and especially technology or something that's kind of cutting edge. I was also thinking about like the marijuana innovations. This is what they've gone through for the past 20 years, is trying to find ways to change the minds of people that were creating barriers to them creating a space in the market. So just keep that in mind, and look where the marijuana industry is now and where it's going, and take that as inspiration.